London was built on a river and transport depended on water. The London Canal Museum is a few hundred yards from King's Cross Station. There you can see inside a narrowboat cabin and learn about the history of London's canals. But to relive it yourself, make your way to Little Venice. The boats are covered, so it's not weather dependent. The nearest tube to Little Venice is Warwick Avenue. From there, take the short stroll to the canal. Probably best to get there after the rush for the 3 o'clock launch, and there's a cafe on a narrowboat while you wait. London Water Bus Company has boats leaving until 5 o'clock, but check their website. We're going to take the water bus along the Regents Canal from Little Venice, through Regent's Park Zoo, to Camden Lock, where the market comes alive early evening, with some of the best street food in London and some very trendy bars. Regent's Park Canal was built to link the Grand Junction Canal's Paddington Arm with the River Thames at Limehouse. It was opened in 2 stages, Paddington to Camden in 1816, and the rest of the canal in 1820. People took great pride in their boats, named them and decorated them ornately. The family lived in a cabin at the back of the barge. Barges were towed by horses using the towpath at the side of the canal. At tunnels like the Maida Hill Tunnel, which is 172 yards long, the horse will be walked over the top. The tunnel is only as wide and as high as the barge, so you have to wait until the tunnel is free. Tunnels are small because the boatmaster and the children, who were an important part of the labour force, would lay on their backs and put their legs on the walls of the tunnel and walk the boat through. This was known as legging. If a family had too many children, it would lend them to other boat owners who had none. This is Lisson Grove. It used to be a coal depot. Now it has permanent moorings and people live on their narrowboats. Barges could carry 20 tonnes of coal, wood or steel and were the main transport to the many London warehouses, most now converted to fantastically priced apartments. Canal transport became less popular as other transport became faster. Its fate was sealed by the Great Freeze of 1962, when traders could not wait for their goods. This is Regent's Park Northgate Bridge, renamed Macclesfield Bridge to honour Lord Macclesfield, chairman of the Regents Canal Company. Also known as Gunpowder Bridge, because in the early hours of October the 10th in 1874, maybe the 2nd as the plaque says, the barge, Tilbury, with a cargo of sugar, nuts, petroleum and 5 tonnes of gunpowder, was being towed by a steam tug. It caught fire and exploded, destroying the barge, bridge, killing the crew, blowing out the windows a mile away, and, as you can see, we're next to the zoo, where the wild animals were disrupted. A detachment of horse guards was dispatched to keep order. The bridge was rebuilt in 1876, using the original iron columns. Many of the grand houses on the side of the canal are embassies. The Feng Shang Princess Restaurant is another famous landmark on the Regent Canal, magnificently handcrafted in the 1980s as the first floating restaurant of its kind in London. It is set in the splendour of London's Regent Park Cumberland Basin at the sharp left turn towards Camden, which some drivers find hard to navigate. The floating Chinese restaurant takes advantage of the barge's ability to carry huge cargo and expands over each side of the barge. Over the years, it has been a favourite Chinese eatery for many, including celebrities from the world of film, music and TV. Who needs Venice when you can travel from Little Venice and be serenaded on the way? We arrived in Camden Lock and the sun came out to meet us, despite the dodgy weather forecast. Established in 1975, the Camden Lock markets draw 150,000 people a week. It's full of music cafe venues and canal towpath walks. To add to its international flavour, The Russian band Aquarium mentions Camden Lock in its song Garçon Number 2. We were sport for choice. There were so many amazing smells to tempt us, and we opted for the squid, freshly cooked and delicious. It's very difficult not to stop at 2 or even 3 totally different eateries and sample their wares. There are also quirky shops to browse in and a bar overlooking the whole of the lock. Don't forget to check out my many other Doris Visits films on London, as well as the cruise films from the Caribbean to the Baltic to the Mediterranean and beyond. Just search Doris Visits. Don't forget, Doris, Shades of Bad, started in Hampstead. And the walk through Green Park takes us to Buckingham Palace, home of Elizabeth II. The flag's flying, so I guess she's in. Nash's design, which retained the feel of a country house, was completed with some modifications by Edward Blore in 1837, when Queen Victoria moved in. I'm standing outside Clarence House, which was of course home to the Queen Mother for many years, and now Prince Charles and Camilla Parker Bowles live there. But many years ago, King William IV lived there, who was of course the husband of Queen Adelaide and the lover of Dorothy Jordan when he was a prince. This is the famous Church of the Spilled Blood. It's one of the most beautiful churches in St. Petersburg. It's built on the spot where Alexander II was mortally wounded and spilt his blood, so that's how it got its name. You can see the pavement where Alexander II was assassinated and spilt his blood, and that's why the church was built on this site, and they leave that open as a reminder.